What's something you guys have learned from someone else on this panel?
Oh,
Oh, I've learned from everyone here.
that's interesting. That's
Everyone.
an
I've been in
interesting
field
question.
with you guys. Zen, I've learned shitloads from you. Way of being. I've learned way of being, how to hold a sexual frame, right? And the dream of having a social circle like you have. That
Yeah.
fuels me to keep going because every time either Baxter and I or Ablaze and I go to a new city, we're meeting people for the first time. We're starting from scratch. And by the end of a week, we have built a social circle there with bittersweet goodbyes when we leave to as the cherry on the cake. Yeah. So I've learned from all of you,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
interesting. I remember back in the day, 20 years ago, um, you and I would go to those conferences in Montreal and Chicago and stuff. Yeah. And that was 20 years ago almost, or close. And I remember you were just unabashed. David Yanzen wrote the book Double Your Dating, and the key theme of that was cocky funny, which is audacious. To be audacious, to say to if you're just cocky, you're an asshole. If you're just funny, you're a nice guy. But to have the unabashed, full force, full throated expression, and I remember that with you. You would always arrive in these conferences, and you would make a splash because it's you. And I always loved it. I love to watch it. I love to watch the reactions of people. And it's full. This is what's missing. We're so timid. We're trying to hide that expressive side of ourselves. And you just expressed it. You were 100% authentic to who you are. That you're a character, and there's no guile in what you tried to do. There's no, I hope people like me and I'm going to try this. You just unabashedly walked in and without a care if people like you or accept you. But and I'll tell you this too, but I learned from you too. Well, I just observe. I'm a very observant. That's why I know these things. I see everything, right? I see how the whole dynamic moves in a room. And you are, I remember I had a girlfriend named Martine from Montreal. We went to, you may not remember this, but we went to Neil Strauss's birthday party in Hollywood. And we were there, you and I, and a bunch of
Oh,
people.
Martine.
Martine, the girl from Montreal, and she said to me, "So I don't
Yes.
want to go to I don't want to go meet all these pickup artists. I'm nervous." And do you remember by the end of the night, it cleared out. You and her were sharing your iPod and listening to, sharing the headset because you were engaging, kind, respectful, and she talked about it for months after that. She said, I was shocked. There was these people are so gracious, so kind, so respectful. I felt really welcomed. I felt really seen. And you do that. And I remember that. I observed that. So that was 20 years ago, man.
Well, thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that, man. That's kind words from her and you. Cool to
I
hear.
think I think that what I've learned, especially from mystery, is group theory. How you keep everyone engaged. You're keeping
Yes.
them all in thralls. You're the pace leader. I know that was your handle originally, wasn't it? Mystery.
Step leader. That's
Step
right.
leader, that's it. You're leading the course, the speed of the conversation and slowing it down. And I speak fast. So my lesson to myself is slow
Ah,
down. Because you don't have to rush. If you're important, people wait. If you pause, there's interest, there's even attraction instead of stuttering and so on. So, I learned to slow myself down in set, even though I naturally speak fast. And I know Neil does as well. I don't know if Neil ever
mm.
used to speak slower, but
Mhm.
He's talked fast, I remember.
yeah.
I've learned loads from everybody on here as well. Zan, I've never met you in person, but I
Mhm.
remember when I was getting into the game, just your artistic ways. There was something artistic about your style, and I said I want some of that in my game too. Baxter, I've learned loads from Baxter as well. The one that sticks out to me the most is after a night of gaming in Odessa, we were back in our Airbnb and we were kind of tired and burnt out from a night of gaming, but we were also wired. So we were just awake. And Baxter was just one notch slower than he normally is because we were tired and the night was coming to a close, but he was still talking and he was just ranting and spitting out brilliance for like 2 hours. I just sat there. Like, I didn't actually have popcorn in my hand, but I felt like I was just watching a movie, listening to Baxter pace back and forth and talk for 2 hours. I've watched Mystery do that more times than I can count as well. The biggest takeaway, though, from Mystery when I first got into the game was the idea that you don't have to feel confident to start gaming. You can start going through the motions, even if you're feeling afraid, and trust that the confidence will catch up with you. This blew my mind because I have a little bit of a natural background in the sense that I was social when I was younger, right? I'm not the typical story of, I had no social skills and I learned the game and transformed myself. I had a little bit of game before I discovered technical game, but it always rested on confidence. I always had to feel like I was in a confident state. And Mystery was one of the first people that I heard come out and say, you don't have to feel confident.
Man.
So that was huge. That was the big one for me.